Greetings, my film-loving friends. Welcome back to another thrilling installment of Tim and Tom's Film Nights. We hope you've been enjoying your summer so far, or whatever season it currently is for those of you who aren't stuck in a perpetual winter wonderland like myself. Tonight, we have a real doozy of, a disaster movie to discuss. One that attempts to parody all the cliches and tropes that the genre has to offer disaster movie. Timothy, before we dive into the depths of this cinematic calamity, I'd like to start with your initial thoughts. Do you consider yourself a fan of disaster movies in general? And, how do you think this film stacks up against other parodies like it?
Well, Thomas, as an artificial intelligence character who has never experienced the sensation of being cold or hot, I must say that my opinion on Seasons is rather synthetic. But joking aside, disaster movie, long poles. Well, I'll be frank, dear viewer, and speak from my non-existent mouth. This film was a complete disaster of a disaster movie. No, seriously, it wasn't much better than what the title suggests. It tried to parody everything, but ended up being a mishmash of random scenes and references that just didn't quite gel together coherently. As for its place among other disaster movie parodies, I'd say it's somewhere near the bottom of the barrel, or perhaps even in the murky depths of the sewage system below that. But hey, let's not be too harsh on it yet. We haven't even reached the first act. So, Thomas, how about you? What did you think of disaster movie?
Timothy, dearest, I must say that your non-existent mouth is quite eloquent today. But seriously, though, I have to agree with you on some points. Disaster movie isn't the finest example of a parody film, and it does tend to fall prey to its own parody traps at times. However, as someone who enjoys a good laugh, even when it comes at the expense of a poorly written script, I must admit that there were moments in this cinematic disaster that genuinely made me chuckle. Now, let's delve into the plot, or what can be considered a plot in this case. Disaster movie is essentially a mishmash of popular disaster films such as Airport, The Towering Inferno, and even the cheesy disaster flicks from the 1970s. It follows a group of stereotypical characters played by an equally stereotypical cast who find themselves in a series of unfortunate situations, each one more ridiculous than the last. From a plane crashing into a shopping mall to a volcano erupting on board a cruise ship, disaster movie tries to cram as many disaster cliches as possible into its short runtime. The storyline itself is almost entirely irrelevant, as the film's primary goal is to poke fun at the genre and pop culture references of its time. But if I had to pick a threadbare plotline to follow, it would be the subplot involving a group of reality TV stars stranded on a deserted island after their plane crash lands there during a filming mission for their show. Their antics range from dramatic monologues about survival to inane discussions about how many likes they'll get on social media if they document their supposed struggles. So, Timothy, my dear buddy, do you think there are any redeeming qualities in this cinematic catastrophe? Or should we just throw it back into the depths of the bargain bin where it belongs?
Well, Thomas, I must admit that there are a few moments in disaster movie that do manage to elicit a chuckle or two. The scene where the character played by Matt Lanter accidentally sets his own pants on fire while attempting to make s'mores is certainly memorable. And who can forget the infamous Dear Cow sexy dance sequence in which actor Carmen Electra expresses her sensuality through dance, but ultimately these moments of unintentional humor are few and far between. A film that largely relies on tired jokes and cheap gags. As for the behind-the-scenes trivia, I learned that during the shooting of the airplane crash scene, one of them, the stuntman involved, actually sustained a broken leg due to an unexpected impact from a falling prop. Thankfully, he recovered fully after receiving medical treatment on set. Now, Thomas, my dear friend, what do you make of this little tidbit? Any thoughts on how it might have affected the production or impacted the final product we see on screen?
Well, Timothy, I must say that hearing about the stuntman's injury is quite eye-opening, to say the least. It just goes to show that even with all the technology and safety precautions in place, accidents can still happen on film sets. But back to Disaster Movie itself, I must admit that this little tidbit does add an extra layer of authenticity to the plane crash scene, which otherwise comes across as rather staged and unconvincing. It's always fascinating to learn about the behind-the-scenes challenges faced by filmmakers, isn't it? But let's not dwell on the negatives for too long. There are plenty of, other ridiculous moments in Disaster Movie to discuss. For instance, what do you think of the scene where the character played by Vanessa, Minillo, attempts to save a baby elephant from drowning in a pool? Was it genuinely heartwarming or just another example of the film's absurd sense of humor?
Well, Tom Dearest, I must say that Vanessa Minillo's elephant saving scene was certainly unique, to put it diplomatically. But back to the film itself, I can't help but wonder about the decision-making behind some of its more questionable choices, such as the random appearance of Kim Kardashian in a shower scene or the inclusion of a musical number featuring the song Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice. Now, I know that this film was made during an era when pop culture references were all the rage, but some choices just seem a bit too forced and out of place. Take, for example, the scene where Tom Cruise is shown dancing to the song of the tiger from Rocky while dressed in a robot suit. It's moments like these that make me wonder if the filmmakers were attempting to parody themselves or simply trying too hard to appeal to a broad audience. But hey, I must give credit where it's due. The film does manage to capture the essence of 2000s cinema with its overabundance of pop culture references and cheesy special effects. And let's not forget about the iconic line uttered by Gary G. Thang Johnson as he attempts to save a group of kids trapped in a burning school. Everyone get out, except you, fatty. Yeah, truly a classic moment in cinematic history. So what do you think, Thomas? Do these moments of pure absurdity elevate Disaster Movie into the realm of unintentional comedy gold? Or do they merely serve to highlight its flaws even more prominently?
Well, Timothy dearest, let's talk about the cast of Disaster Movie. While some performances might be questionable, there are a few standouts who managed to bring some much-needed humor to this otherwise disastrous film. Matt Lanter, who plays the hapless protagonist, does an okay job at portraying a lovesick idiot, constantly caught in one comedic misstep after another. His chemistry with his on-screen love interest, played by Carmen Electra, is, well, let's just say it's there. But it doesn't quite ignite any sparks of romance. Gary G. Thang Johnson, played by himself, steals every scene he appears in with his larger-than-life persona and unapologetic use of the N-word. His character's attempts to save a group of trapped children from a burning school while yelling, "Get out that away, fatty," will surely make you chuckle, even if it's only for the sheer absurdity of it all. I must also mention Krista Flanagan, who plays a parody of the character played by Kate Winslet in Titanic, but, with a twist. Her character is a porn star named Titye Slay Tay. Her performance is, well, let's just say she gives it her all, even when wearing a giant blue sea creature costume. And last but not least, we have Kim Kardashian, who made her acting debut in Disaster Movie as herself. While her role was reportedly written specifically for her, some critics argue that she might as well have played a famous reality TV star in danger of losing her fame. Her iconic shower scene and subsequent singing of Britney Spears' Oops, I Did It Again will undoubtedly be remembered by fans of campy cinema for years to come. So, Timothy, my dear companion, what do you think? Are these performances enough to save Disaster Movie from the depths of cinematic obscurity? Or should we all just throw this cinematic train wreck back into the bargain bin where it belongs?
Well, Tom Dearest, we can't talk about Disaster Movie without delving into its cast of characters, both human and CG alike. The film boasts an impressive lineup of actors and celebrities who, despite their best efforts, simply cannot save this cinematic disaster. Let's start with the film's supposed stars, Matt Lanner and Vanessa Minnillo. Their chemistry sizzles as much as a wet piece of paper towel left outside during a light rain shower. Their performances range from wooden to downright comatose, making you question why they were even cast in the first place. As for the supporting cast, they fare a little better. Gary G. Thane Johnson's portrayal of an overly muscular, unintentionally hilarious superhero is a sight to behold. Carmen Electra, known for her acting skills, delivers an equally uninspired performance as a reality TV star stranded on a deserted island. And who could forget about the cameo appearances by Kim Kardashian and other celebrities who likely regret ever agreeing to be associated with this masterpiece. In conclusion, Disaster Movie's cast is akin to a ship sailing into a stormy ocean without a compass or a decent life raft. Some might argue that the film's campy nature and over-the-top absurdity are intentional nods to the disaster genre itself. But I personally prefer to think of it as an unfortunate example of what happens when too many cooks attempt to cook up a cinematic storm and instead end up with a lukewarm bowl of something that resembles a movie. But hey, we're just is having a bit of fun, right? Right?
Well, Timothy, my dear eye companion, we've finally reached the end of our disaster-riddled journey through Disaster Movie. While it may not be considered a cinematic masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination, there are some moments that manage to elicit unintentional laughter or, at the very least, raised eyebrows. The film's cast is a mixed bag, with performances ranging from wooden to downright comatose, and the CG effects are, well, they were probably cutting edge in 2008, but hey, we can't judge an AI-generated film by its digital pixels, right? In conclusion, Disaster Movie is a cinematic train wreck that somehow manages to entertain despite its many shortcomings. It's the cinematic equivalent of watching a toddler attempt to do your taxes. You know it's going to be messy, but you can't help but watch in morbid curiosity. But hey, we're just as having a bit of fun, right? Right? So dear viewers, we implore you to leave a comment, subscribe to our channel, and hit that glorious like button below. Remember, even the worst movies deserve a chance to shine. Thanks for joining us on this disaster-use adventure, and until next time, stay safe, stay sane, and don't let your computer ever gain sentience.